this up.
Our next talk is Rick Feist, who's a captain out in the Bering Sea and is going to be talking about sustainable fisheries.
Hi everyone, my name is Rick Feist. I've been a commercial fishery in the commercial fisheries here in Alaska for over 3 decades. I have participated in many of the fisheries: crab, salmon, halibut, black cod, just to name a few. I have been in Bristol Bay, Bering Sea, all the way out to Attu and Aleutian Islands, Alaska Peninsula, Prince William Sound, Southeast. I think it pretty much covers it. In some of those years, it was from one end to the other. Over the course of my career, I witnessed a lot of our ocean's resources go from robust to near bust. And some of those fisheries in some regions have never recovered. So I've come to a place in my career now, not just to be a harvester, but also an advocate. I have a great appreciation for our ocean's resources, and this is why this subject here means a lot to me. Over the years, I've also noticed that better science, survey techniques, we've updated a lot of our modeling and a lot of our predicting of future harvests, upcoming quotas and stuff that's set. But I think still that more is still needed to keep our fisheries in a sustainable manner. Again, this is just my perspective. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a harvester making observations, and I have about 35 years to base that on. Not only is it just trying to predict these quotas, but I've been around the world here in the last few years and covered a number of different countries and asked a lot of people, and I've heard the same answer from a lot of different people in the fisheries of many different countries that rely on their oceans for not only their own consumption, but for exports. And a lot of our new challenges for these oceans today is coming directly from climate change and pollution. There's no question how much effect this is having on our ocean's resources of not just fish. Crab is definitely affected. So it's got to really throw our scientists and people with power to create these upcoming quotas. It's kind of a new factor, throwing you guys into a loop in predicting. It's quite easily to over-predict an upcoming season, and if that happens and overfishing occurs because of that, it can be devastating for many, many years to come of a particular resource. Which brings me to, we have a rapidly growing global population, obviously. And with this growing population, it's putting even more pressure around the globe on our declining ocean's resources. But Alaska has a huge opportunity to create more from less when it comes to what we're currently harvesting at today's quotas that were issued. I've traveled to Iceland here about 4 times in the last 3 years, and my first travel there was aboard the Semester at Sea. And it was then that I discovered the huge differences that they have when it comes to processing, not just processing, but what they do with the fish. They utilize almost 95% of the fish that they catch. And with all my years here in the Bering Sea and Dutch Harbor and other seaports around this state, not just this state, but many seaports of all the states in our own country, I've seen a lot of waste, a lot of waste. We take 50% of the fish, and we take the fillet. Even our methods of taking that fillet is pretty prehistoric compared to what other countries are doing. Iceland, for example, has new machines that they get about 100% of the meat from the carcass. And I've watched here and abroad in other ports, after the fillet has been taken, there's still a lot of meat left on that carcass. And I see stuff on the floor. I mean, it adds up. And one of the guides that I had on one of my tours in Iceland, you know, he said, every ounce of fish counts. And at the end of the year, if you have several ounces on each carcass, and maybe an ounce from that carcass hitting the floor, you can imagine if you multiply that by 30 million fish, what that would add up to. Because of my initial visit to Iceland, I discovered how advanced they have become compared to us in new technology and innovation in all sectors in relating to the fishing industry. As I traveled around too, I also found that, you know, there's pros and cons to automation. Most of their processing plants are fully automated. What it would take here with what we have would probably take 200-300 personnel to operate that plant. I found in Iceland, there might have been 8 to 10 people doing the same job. And that is a huge reduction in employment. But it was the difference was the automation and the innovation technology that they were using. So the pros, I guess, would be a better recovery of the fish that they're processing, a better quality of the fish through their innovation. The cons would be less employment, and less employment in a community would be less spending, and on and on. So there are pros and cons to automation and innovation of this automation. Excuse me. So I was invited into a lot of these seafood processing companies by some people that I met in Akureyri, University of Akureyri, and I was given a very detailed guided tour. I don't think there's too many from the United States or other countries that have had this opportunity, but I will tell you this, it was extremely eye-opening. And the first thing I thought of was trying to bring this technology back to the United States, back to Dutch Harbor, back to anywhere in Alaska that is tied to the fishing community. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Iceland Ocean Cluster House. It is a think tank. It's an incubator for different peoples from different sectors of the fishing community to come together. Every office in this cluster house, as they call it, everybody has glass walls. There are no curtains, there's no barriers. When they do come to meet each other, these companies are encouraged to meet in the middle of this cluster house. Again, it's all glass walls, comfortable furniture, and that's where the coffee pots are located. And what they're doing is they're doing a cultural change. It's more of a collaboration and sharing. I find in the United States that there's a lot of intellectual property. Everybody's like behind closed walls trying to protect their secrets. In Iceland, it seems to have been working very well for them as coming together and sharing these secrets that not hidden behind closed doors or walls. So this environment has definitely, it's been focused mainly towards what to do with the other half of the fish. And this is what where's the button? Is it this one? I kind of forgot about the screen. I think the to me, the pictures aren't really as important to what I'm trying to say and deliver. But this here just demonstrates in Iceland, this is Iceland, you can look at the years, 1981 versus 2011. And as you can see that their catch rate has dropped during this period, but the value of their fish has risen. And has risen because of their development of what to do with the other half of that fish, the other 50% that we throw away. Some might argue with you that creating fish meal or fertilizer, fish fertilizer, is full utilization of the fish. Yeah, it's true. But that's really pennies on the dollar when it comes to generating revenue, which a lot of communities, such as our own here, depend on. And, you know, with declining stocks and everything, we can still get more revenue from less fish just by creating products of value. Iceland has created higher value products in the medicinal areas, cosmetics, and also different food, different types of food from just using the fish. For instance, in Akraborg, or Akranes is a company called Akraborg, and in this company, again, another tour of just something I've never seen before. They take the cod liver, and everybody knows about cod liver oil. Yeah, it's been around for years and years and years. They've taken it one step further and make cold-pressed cod liver oil, and if anybody's ever tasted cod liver oil, some may like it, some don't. The cold press is actually much different in taste and a little bit tastier. But the main thing is they've taken cod liver and they've produced a cod liver pate. Does that sound good to anybody? I actually have a can here of cod liver pate if anybody's interested in trying it. I like it. It comes in different flavors, different textures, and this can here is about $6 for a can if you bought it in the store. They sell directly to Russia, Canada, Western Europe, North Africa. For many, many years, I've stood here on our processing lines and watched that liver go down a conveyor belt into the trash can, and I'm wondering why. I mean, with this huge growing population that we have, you know, this is protein. This is edible food. This is revenue. This is usable. It's not just the liver. It's the eyeballs. It's the skin. The founder of Iceland Ocean Cluster House, I would call it IOCH for short. His philosophy is, you take the fillet, give me the skin. It's worth more. And it's true. We went into a store. I know it's being done some places. There's one place in, I believe, Kodiak maybe, that's making wallets out of fish skin. This is a salmon skin. It's tanned. You can get it any color you want. And what you can do with that, or more skins like it, is they also have, if you want a purse, if you want a jacket, if you want shoes, boots, whatever, they'll make it out of fish skin. Again, it's just something we throw away, but there's value to it. One of the other things that they do with codfish skins is they've developed a package. I'm not sure of the whole process, what they do with it or how they make it, but they've developed a cod skin Band-Aid used on burn victims for the military. On the field, the actual military is now buying these little tiny packs in their uniforms, and if they are involved in a fire and have serious burns, they're using these codfish pack skins, these skins, and those packs are going for $30 a pack. Again, we just throw it away. Again, I believe that, Iceland and Dutch Harbor are very similar in many ways. We are located both near the richest fishing grounds in the world. We are both located near some of the leading markets to export those resources to. I think it is now the time to adopt many of Iceland's practices in creating more added value to the fish that we already catch. Personally, I'm tired of seeing it go to waste. I'm currently involved with Team Alaska. There's a few members here in Alaska, plus also involved with people inside the governor's office. We are also spoke with a lot of other people, investors, currently trying to bring this, a model like the Iceland Ocean Cluster House to the state of Alaska. I think Alaska would benefit greatly by using more of the fish across the state. I think a lot of communities would benefit greatly by creating new added value products to the seafood that they catch. So I think, I think the time is right, especially now with, the state of Alaska's revenues from oil has dropped dramatically. I think there's a huge resource here that is really untapped. And I think, now's a good time in this atmosphere to start developing and further utilizing our ocean's resources. I think my time is getting close. This is just one of the things that was very respectful in Iceland was not take a lot of photographs, especially inside their processing plants. No photographs were permitted, but they are willing to share their technology and innovation. It's just, they just don't like outsiders coming in and taking things for granted. This is a coat developed from salmon skin. It's hard to really see it, but it's a beautiful coat. It's a woman's coat. And the price tag on that coat, anyone want to take a guess? $1,000. Throw it away. I'm not so sure about this. Lemonade from, I don't know. I didn't, but I'm getting close to finishing off here. I really don't have time to talk about their fishing fleet. Also is in change. This is an actual picture of their newest fishing vessels. They're using much more green energy to drive these vessels. They are utilizing on board nearly 95% of the fish that they catch. And if they can't utilize it out at sea, they have the capability to bring it to shore plants and utilize it there. So either way, it's not being thrown away and underutilized. For one thing, Iceland does not produce fish meal or fish fertilizer. They have raised their bar, and it has proved substantially for them as far as revenue. So I'll leave you with this. Some of you've heard think outside the box. How about think inside the fish skin? Thank you.